It's remarkable that good news these days is that it's not going up even higher. But I think the fact remains that we are still almost double the target inflation for the Bank of England, double the amount that Labour inherited actually at the last general election. So I think we need to be cautious about this. Obviously, we want to see rates coming down. They have been cut successively, but they could have been cut far more had inflation not creeped up higher over the last year and a half.
When you look at the UK economy now, inflation running at 3.8%, a jobs market that is slowing, struggling to create new jobs, do you think that more rate cuts are warranted at this point?
Well, I'm not going to comment on the monetary policy of the Bank of England. That's not appropriate. But what I would say is that having been in the Treasury, having had to tackle very high inflation and then to bring it down to target levels, you've got to support the Bank of England. Monetary policy has to be aligned with fiscal policy. And I'm afraid with the massive public sector pay rises that we've seen, the huge hike to national insurance taxation, this has pushed prices up. And now it's right that Rachel Reeves has acknowledged that she is partly to blame for the high inflation. She's got to rein that back in, and we'll support her and the government as they seek to do that. We've said before, they need to cut the welfare budget, welfare spending. They need to get borrowing under control. And if they do that, if they actually execute on that, of course, we'll support that because we want the UK economy to be growing. We want businesses to be doing well and to be able to reduce their borrowing costs.
So Gareth, is the spending cuts that you've outlined there, is that going to be enough in this budget to balance the books? We know Rachel Reeves has a difficult job ahead of her, and there's been so much uncertainty, so much speculation about the different policies that could be in this upcoming budget that Juliana outlined in her intro there. Many even speculating, will she break that manifesto? There's going to be more taxes potentially on the wealthy. What would you be doing now if you were in the Chancellor's shoes yourself? You've mentioned the spending cuts, but again, is that going to be enough? What would you be looking for in terms of taxation?
So I think it's a very good point, first of all, about the uncertainty that we have in the market at the moment. We've got actually quite a late budget. 26th of November is quite late. And as a result, you have all this speculation on the property taxation side, on wealth taxation and all these other things that have been flown as kites to see the reaction of the public. Typically, it's not very good reaction, by the way. But I think the issue is that we've got very high elevated borrowing and spending. We've got very high and elevated levels of taxation. But the fact remains that we've got low growth, high inflation and increasing unemployment. So it's a very difficult cocktail if you're the Chancellor of the Exchequer. What we would be doing is drastically trying to cut the welfare budget, which is going to be nearly £400 billion. It's been increasing significantly since the pandemic. We've outlined a significant amount of cuts that we think she can make, and if she does those, we will support that. But we also want to see lower spending on pet projects like GB Energy, which is an energy company that isn't going to produce any energy and not entirely sure what it does. That's £8 billion. I mentioned the public sector pay rises. That has been inflationary. 25% increase in pay for some public sector workers is just unacceptable at times of elevated inflation. And so there's lots that we would do differently. We've set out some tax policies, and that if the economic conditions are amenable to it, we'll abolish stamp duty. We want to give younger people a boost in terms of national insurance cuts. So those are the kinds of things.
Why wasn't that?